24-year-old Jennifer Kessie did everything right. She carried pepper spray everywhere. She talked on the phone while walking through dark parking lots. She deliberately chose to live in a gated community with security guards, but none of those precautions would matter. On January 24th, 2006, Jennifer had just returned 2 days earlier from a vacation in the Virgin Islands with her boyfriend, Rob. Her daily routine was nearly identical every morning. Before leaving for work, she always sent Rob a good morning text or gave him a call. He later described it as being so consistent that it felt like an alarm clock. That morning, his phone never rang. Between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., Rob called her repeatedly. Every call went straight to voicemail. By mid-morning, Jennifer's employer contacted her parents. Their daughter hadn't shown up for work, completely out of character, especially for someone who had just received a major promotion. Worried, her parents contacted the building manager at the Mosaic at Millennia Condominiums and asked him to check her apartment. The door was locked from the outside. Using a spare key, the manager entered and reported that everything inside appeared normal, but Jennifer's car was missing. So were her purse, phone, and keys. Then a troubling detail emerged. The Mosaic complex was still under construction. Workers moved freely throughout the property, and some were even living inside empty units. According to the family's private investigator, up to 10 men were staying in the apartment directly across from Jennifer's. She had told friends and family that the workers made her uncomfortable, often directing inappropriate comments toward her and other women. Management claimed there was nothing they could do. 2 days later, police located Jennifer's black 2004 Chevy Malibu at another condo complex called Huntington on the Green, roughly a mile away. A resident recognized the vehicle from news reports. Surveillance footage showed the car arriving around 1 p.m. on January 24th. The person behind the wheel was clearly not Jennifer. The driver sat inside the vehicle for about 30 seconds. Possibly wiping down surfaces before stepping out. As the person walked away, something eerie happened. The security cameras only captured images every 2 to 3 seconds. Fence posts lined the walkway, and in every single frame, those posts perfectly blocked the person's face. Search dogs later traced a scent from the car back to the Mosaic complex. Witnesses also reported seeing Jennifer's vehicle earlier that morning swerving out of the parking lot, as if someone inside was struggling to control it. The car itself revealed almost nothing. DNA results were inconclusive. No blood was found. Investigators did notice an unusual disturbance in the dust on the hood, possibly suggesting a struggle. Later, a woman claimed the figure seen on camera was a maintenance worker known as Chino, who had previously done repairs in Jennifer's condo before her vacation. He was already in jail on unrelated charges when questioned. He denied involvement, passed a polygraph test, and maintained his innocence. Investigators also noted he was 5 feet 9 inches, significantly taller than the person seen in the footage. In 2018, Jennifer's parents sued the Orlando Police Department and gained access to over 16,000 pages of case documents. Inside, they discovered a chilling detail that had been overlooked. Shortly after Jennifer disappeared, a witness reported seeing someone dump a rolled-up carpet between 6 and 8 feet long into a nearby lake. On the day Jennifer vanished, the workers across from her apartment were installing new carpet. A dive team searched the lake in November 2019. They found nothing. In 2016, Jennifer's father stood in court as a judge officially declared his daughter legally dead. He later said it was the hardest thing he had ever done. Jennifer Kess's case remains open. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in a relationship? After hearing what happened to a 22-year-old woman with her entire future ahead of her, you'll understand just how cruel some people can be. Karabo Mokoena and her ex-boyfriend Sandil Monso stepping into an elevator at exactly 2 a.m. on April 28, 2017. Karabo enters first. Her body language shows clear distress. Manso follows closely behind her. The doors close. Not a single word is exchanged. That elevator footage would be the last time anyone ever saw Karabo alive. Karabo met Manso in October 2016 while studying business at Regent Business School. He presented himself as a successful 27-year-old Forex trader, driving luxury cars, wearing designer clothes, and running expensive trading courses that charge thousands of rand per session. He branded his operation trillion-dollar legacy, posting motivational videos promising fast success and financial freedom. Within just 1 month of dating, Karabo moved into his Santon apartment. The abuse began almost immediately. Shortly before Christmas 2016, Manso shoved Karabo into a wall and smashed her phone. By March 2017, she was sending friends photos of bruises on her body. On March 27th, her 22nd birthday, Karabo spent the early morning hours in a hospital emergency room after another violent assault. She had visible injuries to her arms, neck, and face. When she tried to file assault charges, she discovered Manso had already gone to the police and filed a report against her first. Weeks later, both complaints were dismissed as a so-called lover's quarrel. Karabo moved back home to her family in Deep Clove. For 2 weeks, she was free. Then, in mid-April, she ran into Manso again at a nightclub in Santon. On April 27th, exactly 1 month after her hospital visit, Karabo called her mother, Lorraine. She said she was going out with Manso that evening and might stay overnight. Her mother begged her not to go. Karabo promised she would call in the morning. Witnesses at the nightclub later reported seeing the couple arguing. The tension was obvious. Despite every warning sign, Karabo left with him. At 2 a.m., CCTV cameras captured them entering Santon Sky Apartments. Morning came. Lorraine called her daughter. No answer. She then called Manso, demanding to know where Karabo was. His response immediately raised alarm. "I don't know where Karabo is," he said, "but I didn't kill her." No one had mentioned killing. That was where his mind went. Karabo's sister rushed to the apartment complex, questioning staff. No one had seen Karabo leave. Then, a cleaner made a chilling discovery. Karabo's identification documents and passport had been stuffed into a trash bin near the elevator area. Police took more than 2 days just to formally complete a missing person report. On April 30th, investigators finally obtained the building's CCTV footage. What they saw was devastating. The footage showed Karabo and Manso entering the building together at 2 a.m. on April 28th. Later that evening, at 9:57 p.m., Manso was seen collecting a large wheelie bin from a common area and pushing it toward his apartment. 10 minutes later, cameras captured him, wheeling the same bin toward the underground garage. It was visibly heavier. At 10:29 p.m., his car exited the garage. He returned hours later, alone. The wheelie bin was gone. When questioned, Manso's story changed repeatedly. First, he claimed Karabo never stayed with him. Then he said she had suddenly flown to London. When police reminded him her passport had been found in the trash, that excuse collapsed. After hours of interrogation, Manso finally admitted the truth. Karabo was dead. He led police to a field in Bramley, roughly 7 kilometers from Santon, where he had dumped her body and set it on fire. Investigators found signs of burning and disturbed soil. Days later, forensic teams recovered severely burned human remains scattered across the area. The remains were unrecognizable. DNA testing confirmed they belonged to Karabo Mokoena. On May 3, 2018, Sandile Manso was found guilty of premeditated murder. He was sentenced to a combined 32 years in prison, 5 years for assault, 30 years for murder, and additional time for defeating the ends of justice. During sentencing, the judge stated, "The court can describe you in no other way than a devil in disguise. She did not deserve to perish at your hands in the way that she did." Even then, Manso showed no remorse. But in the end, it wasn't his words that mattered. The CCTV footage told the truth, silently documenting the final moments of a young woman who trusted the wrong person, and proving once again that sometimes the most powerful witness is a camera that never looks away. 21-year-old Lily James spent the morning of October the 25th, 2023 with her parents in Sans Souci, New South Wales. Later that day, she left home for what was supposed to be a routine coaching shift at St. Andrew's Cathedral School. She never returned. Lily worked as a water polo coach at the prestigious private school. She had recently graduated from the University of Technology, Sydney, with a degree in sports business and was known for her love of working with young athletes. Teaching and mentoring students was something she genuinely enjoyed. 5 weeks earlier, Lily had begun a casual relationship with a colleague, 22-year-old Paul Tyson, a cricket and hockey coach at the same school. According to her friends, Lily made it clear she didn't want anything serious. After 5 weeks, she ended the relationship. Rumors later suggested Paul had shown controlling behavior. On the surface, he appeared to accept the breakup. But only days later, Lily disappeared. When her parents were unable to reach her, they reported her missing. Just hours later, police received an anonymous phone call directing them to the school's gymnasium bathroom. Around the same time, Lily's father, Jaime, received a text message from Lily's phone. "Come to school, trouble." Jaime immediately knew something was wrong. The message was vague and completely unlike how Lily normally communicated. He drove straight to the school, only to find police cars and crime scene tape surrounding the building. Officers later described the scene inside the gymnasium bathroom as deeply confronting. Inside, investigators discovered the body of a young woman with severe facial injuries. She had been brutally assaulted. A family friend was called to the scene and identified the victim as Lily James. CCTV footage from the school revealed Lily's final moments. At around 7 p.m. on October 25th, cameras showed Lily walking toward the gymnasium bathroom. Shortly after, a man followed her inside. An hour passed, then the man exited alone. Lily never came out. Investigators identified the man as Paul Tyson. Further surveillance footage tracked his movements that evening. At 8:47 p.m., cameras captured Paul parking a rented Lexus near Diamond Bay Reserve. At 9:04 p.m., he was seen exiting the vehicle carrying a bag. 8 minutes later, he returned empty-handed and remained inside the car until 9:49 p.m. before driving away. Police searched the area and made a grim discovery. Inside a trash bin, they found a hammer, a backpack, and a pair of AirPods. The hammer was later confirmed to be the murder weapon. Detectives learned Paul had purchased the hammer from a hardware store just days after Lily ended the relationship. He had also rented the Lexus specifically to drive to work on October 25th. Despite already owning a car, the rental vehicle was later recovered in a nearby parking lot. Paul himself was nowhere to be found. In the early hours of October 28th, at around 1 a.m., construction workers noticed something in the water near the Gap, an area in Sydney known for its deadly cliffs. The Gap is located just 5 minutes from Diamond Bay Reserve. Recovery operations began at 9 a.m. Strong winds and rough waves made the search difficult. By noon, authorities using jet skis recovered a body from the water. Dental records later confirmed it was Paul Tyson. Police believe Paul arrived at the Gap around 10 p.m. on October 25th. At approximately 11 p.m., he contacted police to report what he had done before jumping to his death. Afterward, one of Paul's former girlfriends came forward with disturbing information. She described him as obsessive and controlling. When she attempted to end their relationship, Paul punched a tree in rage. When she asked why, he responded, "Because I can't punch the one thing I want to." She later reported that Paul stalked her, peering through her windows at night until her father chased him away. Lily's father, Jaime, refuses to say Paul's name, referring to him only as an evil monster. Lily's funeral was held on November 17th, 2023. Hundreds attended, wearing bright floral clothing to reflect her vibrant personality and the joy she brought to others. Today, Lily's parents advocate for greater awareness around relationship safety and warning signs of controlling behavior. Lily's mother, Peta, recently diagnosed with melanoma that has spread to both lungs, faces an uncertain future while grieving the loss of her daughter. On Valentine's Day morning, CCTV captures a mother buying roses, believing the day still holds kindness. Minutes later, she is gone. The cameras inside her home recorded everything, except the 3 minutes that mattered most. Those moments were quietly deleted, leaving behind a question that refuses to fade. The footage begins in the quiet hours before sunrise on December 13th, 2022, inside a modest trailer in Cherokee County, North Carolina. What unfolds on camera would later challenge official statements, shake public trust, and become one of the most unsettling examples of how surveillance can expose the gap between what is claimed and what actually happened. It starts with a phone call. A neighbor, Emily Floyd, contacts emergency services, reporting loud noises she describes as fireworks, intense arguing, and what she believes could be gunshots coming from the home of Jason Kloepfer. She also claims that Jason may be threatening his wife, Allie, and warns dispatchers that a hostage situation could be unfolding. None of these claims are confirmed at the time. Deputies from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office respond but fail to make contact with anyone inside the home. Rather than pausing to verify the information, investigators move quickly toward escalation. At approximately 2:15 a.m., Lieutenant Milton Teasdale secures a search warrant based largely on the unverified report, citing alleged threats and the possibility that Jason is armed. Despite the lack of a formal mutual aid agreement, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indian Police Department's SWAT team is called in to assist. By early morning, the trailer is surrounded by heavily armed officers. A robotic surveillance device equipped with a camera and microphone is thrown into the home. Inside, Jason and Allie are asleep, completely unaware that their home has become the center of a tactical operation. At approximately 4:54 a.m., officers use a loudspeaker to order Jason to come outside with his hands visible. What happens next is captured clearly by Jason's own interior surveillance camera. Jason opens the door and steps onto the porch, fully complying. Both hands are raised. One hand holds a cigarette. The other holds the police robot that had just been thrown into his home. Allie stands directly behind him in the doorway, raising her hands as well to show she is unarmed and following instructions. There is no sudden movement, no aggressive gesture, no resistance. Within seconds, officers open fire. Jason is struck multiple times and collapses, shouting that he has been shot. Allie screams in shock, demanding to know why they fired. The camera captures confusion, panic, and fear, but no threat. Jason repeatedly states that he does not have a weapon. As he lies injured on the ground, officers rush past him and storm into the trailer, clearing rooms with weapons drawn. For critical moments, Jason's condition is ignored while the home is secured. He is eventually transported to a hospital and survives. Hours later, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office releases a public statement, claiming Jason confronted officers and was armed during the encounter. That version of events spreads quickly. Jason is charged with communicating threats and resisting officers, despite the video showing clear compliance. Months later, the surveillance footage is made public. The official narrative begins to collapse. The video directly contradicts claims that Jason was armed or confrontational. Faced with undeniable evidence, prosecutors quietly drop all charges in March 2023. In June, Jason files a federal civil rights lawsuit alleging excessive force, unlawful entry, false arrest, and a coordinated effort to misrepresent the facts. In a sworn affidavit, District Attorney Ashley Welch states that investigators misled both her and the magistrate judge, falsely portraying the situation as a hostage crisis and claiming Jason was armed without evidence. Despite these findings, a special prosecutor declines to bring criminal charges against any officers involved. Public reaction is immediate and intense. Many question how someone can be shot while complying and see no accountability. Jason's attorneys later reveal that unreleased body camera footage shows him lying on the ground, bleeding, staring at the sky, believing he might not survive. In February 2024, Jason Kloepfer reaches a $10 million settlement split between Cherokee County and the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. The money comes from insurance funds. No agency admits wrongdoing, no officers are disciplined or removed. New sworn testimony submitted in March 2025 again confirms that Jason never posed a threat, and that key facts were misrepresented to justify the raid. A broader civil trial scheduled for August 2025 may expose deeper institutional failures. This case is disturbing, not because of what the camera missed, but because of what it clearly showed. A man following every command, hands raised, no weapon, and still gunfire. The video didn't change what happened, but it made it impossible to deny. It stands as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful witness isn't a person at all, but a silent camera recording the truth exactly as it unfolds.